Hello and thank you for joining us on News Infused. This week we're going to talk about me. Strange, kind of narcissistic, but people have been writing in asking about me. So what the heck, let's do me. Well, I've been doing stand-up comedy for about 21 years. Had about a 9-year break in between, but 21 years total. Now to break it all down and start from the beginning, I was born in a little city called Seaside, California, right next to beautiful Monterey and Carmel, California. Seaside was a different story. I had to be quick-witted. I went to Martin Luther King Middle School, and if you didn't know how to cap on somebody, you were gonna get capped on. So my 8th grade year in Martin Luther King Middle School, I became class clown. Grew up in a little house with about 12 people, cousins, aunts, uncles, grandmas, grandpas, everybody. We didn't have a lot of money, but we had a lot of fun. Now, did I do some illegal stuff when I grew up in Seaside, California? Heck yeah, I did. Everyone did. Now, am I going to mention it to you? No, because the statute of limitations might not be up yet. Now, after Martin Luther King Middle School, I didn't go to Seaside High. I went to Monterey High because they recruited me for sports. I was actually a great tennis player. You would figure a kid from the ghetto can play tennis. Yes, I knew how to play tennis. At Monterey High, I also got class clown, but it was more for acting stupid. Teacher would be up writing on the board, I'd be behind them dancing and freaking on them. Stupid stuff like that. But it earned me class clown once again. I went up to wine country in Northern California at Sonoma State University. Now, while at Sonoma State University trying to get my bachelor's degree, it's the first time I did stand-up comedy. Went on stage, got all my friends, and I sucked. I sucked. Now, someone videotaped it with one of those old camcorders. I popped in that tape, and I sucked. Sucked. But I thought it was funny. Had a bunch of drunk friends from college that were laughing. They said, man, you should do some stand-up. So I continued to do it. Started doing a bunch of open mics and things like that. And then one day, I met a man, Mr. Rick Sullivan. Now, he was one of the biggest promoters in the Bay Area. Now, Rick took me down to his comedy room in Oakland, California, called the End Zone. Now, the End Zone is notorious. If you talk to any urban comic, they will tell you, you don't go into the End Zone. It is literally gangsters and killers in there. I happened to make him laugh, bada boom, bada bing, I'm with Rick Sullivan. And one day I did a Bay Area black comedy competition. I'm not black, but I did it. And a famous agent down there saw me. She was actually George Lopez's manager. Called us down there, said, hey, come do the improv. I do it every Monday night. Let me see how well you do down there. Rick and I packed our bags, got in the car from the Bay to LA, and went to the improv. I performed that night and did incredible. We went back to her office the next day and she signed me. And I thought, a star is born. No. She put me in the very first Laugh-A-Palooza in Atlanta, Georgia, with other up-and-coming comics, ones that haven't been discovered yet, like Mike Epps and Nick Cannon. In the meantime, I got hired by the Pepsi Corporation to fly in a helicopter and be a motivated speaker for kids. My official name was Fly Guy Ricky D. I also ended up working for the biggest radio station in Northern California, 106.1 KMEL, writing skits and doing the morning show. There I got a chance to work along with Sway from the morning show. We worked together, became good friends, and it was a great experience working with him. Now at this point I was getting a little burnt out, not because of the workload, but more because of the attitudes, the things in LA that were going on, and the things you see in Los Angeles. My manager wasn't the nicest person, so I said, let me just take a break. Now during that point in time, I got married, had kids, became a professional kickboxer, wrote a book, started businesses. I was busy. But during that 9-year break, I always had an itch to get back to the stage. Now during this break, I was watching all the people I started doing comedy with blow up, explode, become huge stars. And I'm thinking in my head, what if? What if I'd have stayed in the game? What could have happened? I could have been big, maybe I wouldn't have been, but I never would have known. So in 2009, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna come back. I missed the stage, I missed the laughs, not trying to come back to be big and famous, but just to see how this comedy thing could have developed possibly. Threw all my old material away, wrote some new jokes, headed down to the San Francisco Punchline to test it out. So the first time in 9 years, got on the stage, San Francisco Punchline, I sucked. Again, I sucked. I didn't have the timing, I didn't have the stage presence, the material wasn't good, it just sucked. Went back home, wrote some material, tested it out, went to some open mics, started to hone my craft, got some 15-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute sets going, finally got another hour set ready to go, and I started headlining again. My material was getting better and better. I was still working it out, but I was able to headline because of my past credentials. Now I met another wonderful man, a man named Eddie Griffith. So Ed didn't know I was a comic, and I never brought it up. So he said, let me see some of your material. He said, you know what, you're funny. I'd like to invest in you. I'd like to actually be there with your career and help develop it. So So now it was me and Eddie pursuing this dream together. Now we were going back and forth to LA, meeting managers and agents and things like that. We happened to come across a fantastic publicist. She worked with everybody. Now she got me in the 2011 NBA All-Star events. I was doing comedy for that. A whole bunch of news articles, a whole bunch of TV written up on me. And sad to say that she passed away. So now me and Ed were sad and also bummed out because our career was kind of slowing down now. So we picked up steam again. I ended up doing some TV stand-up. I ended up doing some TV shows and some commercials. And here we are, now doing a YouTube channel. So I gave you a little snippet of my life and what's going on right now, and we're now in this phase where we're doing some YouTube stuff. I have some other stuff going on in Los Angeles, like all comics say, and we don't know if it's going to materialize or not. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I'll always be here doing this show for you. Maybe not always. I don't know. You never know what's going to happen. Now, from some of the feedback, I might change the show up just a little bit, might make the shows just a little bit shorter, because a lot of people don't have 9 minutes, 10 minutes, 7 minutes to watch an episode. We're going to go 5 minutes, make it quick, chop, 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 and get the funny in there. And I always want your suggestions, okay? That's the only way the show will get better. Any suggestions you have, please let me know. If I use them, I use them. If I don't take it too bad. Now, I'm going to give you a little insight on next week's show. We're going to talk about Paula Deen. Yeah, you thought she was done and not in the news anymore? Some new stuff has surfaced, and we're going to bring it out. So I want you to stay tuned on the next episode, and please subscribe if you can. Look us up on Facebook and on Twitter, and I'll see you next week. Remember, Paula Deen on News Infused.